votes to hold Barr in contempt. Okay, now we're going to talk about the Barr Mueller thing and the House Judiciary.
Yeah.
This is fun. This is interesting. Again, Radio Law Talk, we're politically neutral, but there's some interesting things to talk about. As lawyers, we talk about. Again, we're talking generally. We're not giving legal opinion, but we're discussing this. Now, here's the interesting thing. So the House Judiciary Committee, which is made up of mainly Democrats.
Right now, yes.
So it's down the Republicans are saying you don't need to do this. The Democrats are saying we're doing it, and they have the votes, so they go ahead and basically fine Mr. Barr, our Attorney General for the United States, in contempt of court by not showing up and bringing stuff, not showing up to testify, and or they want some things revealed in the Mueller report. Now, here's the interesting thing. What they're saying is the House Judiciary Committee says, look, give it to us unredacted so we can review it. And ready for this? You got. I don't know what you have in the sounds, but this is so – there's got to be a sound for this. You get ready for this. We won't tell anybody. That is not going to get out.
Because we can be trusted.
Yes. Well, it's not just the Democrats and Republicans. It's an issue of, it's not going to get out.
Yes.
Of course it's going to get out.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So he's saying, no, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to show up. They're saying, oh, you lied to us. We're going to get into those issues. Yeah. And then so what we talked about, was it last week or the week before? I think it was last week. What I said was, first, what can Congress do? What can the House Judiciary Committee do?
Yes.
There's a few things they can do. Number one, they could say, we're going to send our sergeant of arms down there, and he's going to arrest you. Okay?
That's called inherent contempt, right?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
So as they head down to the sergeant of arms, they're going to have to blast through all the FBI agents with big guns. That ain't going to happen.
And mind you, that protocol has not been used to go arrest somebody since the 1930s, when somebody was held in inherent contempt and the sergeant of arms went and got them and placed them under arrest till they testified.
Second thing is, they will go, as the House Judiciary Committee or a Congress will say, please enforce this. And who enforces it?
The Department of Justice.
The Attorney General's office. And so Barr, I doubt, is going to enforce something against himself.
Yes.
And so that's another interesting thing that's going on.
And the two avenues that they can use for that are either criminal contempt, you violated the law by not complying with Congress's subpoena, or civil contempt. Either way, the Department of Justice is the arm of government. The AG's office is the arm that has to prosecute. They ain't going to prosecute themselves. So,
that's exactly right. And so let's talk about this a little bit. The first thing is, if you want to call in 855-LAW-RADIO, if you want to call in and comment. But Barr then goes to President Trump and says, I want you to assert the executive privilege, which now takes it at another level.
Yep.
So that happens. And here's the interesting thing that you have to understand, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whether you love Trump, you hate Trump, whatever, there are certain things that need to be protected due to the fact that there's people that may be harmed, there's ongoing litigation or prosecutions that need to be certain things not need to be revealed.
Cases still being investigated.
There's things being investigated. There is the national security issue. There's people out there that could be in trouble or be harmed due to the fact if some of this redacted stuff comes out. So what they can do is sometimes a judge will look at it and what's called in camera. So they'll look at it behind the scenes, and we're going to get into that later because we've got three real stories here to talk about. But what's going on here is there's going to be this fight between the Judiciary Committee and, quite frankly, let's call it what it is, the Democrats, because the Republicans are saying this is ridiculous, we're not going to do it.
All the votes for contempt and whatever have all gone along party lines, and the Republicans haven't voted in favor of it, and the Democrats have pretty much.
Right. It's going down party lines, and of course they condemn it as an attempted coup that's what the Republicans are saying. But here's the interesting thing. They do vote to hold Barr in contempt, but they're saying it's not going to be construed in any way of the Attorney General violating a law or rules. Because according to the AGs and the Republicans, he's violating some laws and some rules that he should not be revealing this stuff, including there's an issue with the grand jury.
Absolutely. I mean, if we just go back, I know we're coming up on the break here, but I think I can get this. If we just go back a little bit, when Mueller gave his report to Barr made that summary, about a four-page summary of a nearly 500-page report, and the claim on the part of the Democrats is that, or the Judiciary Committee, is they want this to see if Barr's summary misled the public, misled everybody. Well, the problem is when he released the summary and then later worked to release the report, the redacted version of the report, they actually worked with Mueller and members of the Mueller team to specify the redactions and why they were redacted. So it's like Mueller himself wanted things redacted and not to go forward because the law says that these things need to be protected. So you got this thing here where Barr's like, okay, I could violate the law by being in contempt of your subpoena, or I could violate the law by turning over stuff that I'm not supposed to turn over. I'm going to opt to protect the report.
And don't forget, there's a thing we discussed before. There was a lot of things that Barr did not redact that embarrassed the president. So as if the Judiciary Committee, the Democrats are saying, this is all to protect Trump. If he was protecting Trump, he wouldn't have released all those embarrassing statements that President Trump had made.
We need a theme song for fishing expedition, but I don't have a fishing song.
All right. There's two things that'll never end in life. Number one, the Mueller Report, and number two, Johnny Depp lawsuits. So
that's right.
We're going to continue on with the Mueller Report and find out what else is going on other than the House Judiciary voting, or really the Democrats voting to find Barr in contempt for defying the subpoena that they sent to him. What else is going on?
So the other thing that they're really upset with Barr about is when Barr testified before Congress, not this most recent one where he showed up for one day of Senate hearings and then didn't come back the next day, and that really ticked everybody off. But this was previous. This is like around the 4th of April, I think. He was talking about his summary. And a question, and you'll hear this a lot where people say, well, Barr lied to Congress. And they're saying that something happened in that meeting where they claimed that he lied, and this is the alleged lie. So when he releases his summary that comes out at the Judiciary Committee, the allegation is that he was asked if he's ever made aware after the release of the summary that anybody from the Mueller team or that Mueller was upset with the report, and he said no. And then after that, the Washington Post, I believe it was, released this article saying that actually around the 24th, 25th of March, Mueller contacted Barr and said, "Oh, I got problems with the report with the summary that you issued." Those are the allegations. So they're trying to say, well, all right, you lied to Congress when you said that Mueller didn't have any issues with it. Well, whether or not a lie or whether or not a statement constitutes a lie is often dependent upon the question and how it was phrased. So here is the back and forth between Barr and Congressman Christ. I'll read the question first, and then I will read his answer. So the question from Christ was, quote, "Reports have emerged recently, General, that members of the Special House's team are frustrated at some level with the limited information included in your March 24th letter, that it does not adequately or accurately necessarily portray the report's findings. Do you know what they're referencing with that?" Response: "No, I don't. I suspect that they probably wanted more put out, but in my view, I was not interested in putting out summaries or trying to summarize because I think any summary, regardless of who prepares it, not only runs the risk of, being under-inclusive or over-inclusive, but also would trigger a lot of discussion and analysis that really should await everything coming out at once. So I was interested in the summary of the report." So the question here that really needs to be raised is, did he lie in that response? When Mueller called him, and Mueller has said this, what Mueller said was, "I don't have any problems with the report. I don't have any problems. My problem is with how the media is misinterpreting it and going out. And then Mueller said, maybe we can put out additional stuff. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. Well, if the question was that members of the special counsel's team, not the special counsel, the team are frustrated at some level. Well, we don't know if when Bob Mueller called him, he said, Bill down here doesn't like this and so doesn't like this. And Bob, he just raised this issue and specifically answering the question. I think he's truthful if that's what happened. No, I don't know what their specifics are. They probably wanted more put out. And maybe I know that because that's what Bill said he wanted put out. But you're asking me about the team.
Another thing is, though, Todd, that it was the summary, and the question was, did it have a problem with the report that was, in other words, the portions of the report, not the summary. Mueller said he had a problem with the summary and the way it was being interpreted by the media.
Yes.
Well, how's that Barr's problem? How can Barr help how a reporter interprets a summary?
I mean, it's now I just want to make sure that you didn't misspeak. Mueller didn't say he had a problem with the summary.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have a problem with the summary. He had a problem with the misinterpretation. So his
by the media.
So his concern was basically, Mr. Barr, can we release some more stuff to help clear up some of this misinformation? And Barr said, no, I'm not going to do that. Right. I'm not going to do that. So he didn't have a problem with what he released, had a problem with the misinterpretation, and then Barr refused to release anything additional at this time because he knew that the redacted report was going to be coming out in another week or so.
Well, thanks for clarifying, because it seems to me that all it is another run, a different approach at the same goal, which is, will you please let us release everything on the report that we want released?
Yeah. And quite frankly, as we talked about going into the break, there's stuff that can't be – I mean, there are codes on the book that prohibit the release of that information. Mm-hmm. And if he does release it, he's in violation of federal law.
Right.
And so he's stuck here. Do I comply with your subpoena? And so this is going to have to be litigated in the courts, obviously, to see whether or not the subpoena was valid. In that it was asking for stuff that was discoverable, that was releasable, and it's not.
And I'm telling you, I think the courts are going to hold a lot of deference to the AG's office.
I believe so,
and the
too.
Presidential, ability to protect secrets and possible issues of security that they're worried about. He's got executive privilege. So.
Now, the interesting thing here for me with all of this, and look, I don't think anybody could accurately guess my political persuasion, because I used to think I was pretty conservative till I moved to the state of Utah, and I found out I was pretty liberal.
That's right.
And then I lived in Tennessee, and then I found out that I was a liberal living in Utah because they're really conservative. And so the one thing that I can't stand on either side of the aisle is hypocrisy bugs the tar out of me. It absolutely does. And in this case here, you've got Nadler and the Democrats are all talking about how the refusal to comply with the subpoena is creating a constitutional crisis.
Hold on. I want you to tee this one up. This is very important that Todd's going to bring up this. This is important. Tee something up here like drum roll, because this is really important that I haven't, maybe it's been heard in radio, but I haven't heard it yet. Go ahead, Todd.
So they say constitutional crisis, and yet Nadler, back when the Republicans were in power and they were taking then AG Eric Holder to task for the Fast and Furious operation where the government was running guns to try to track them into South America, and one of our agents got killed by a gun that was given to the cartels.
By our government.
By our government, and the Oversight Committee subpoenaed the documentation, and Holder stonewalled him, wouldn't give it, and Nadler had no problem with that. It is almost an identical situation where the AG is refusing to comply with a subpoena, and the Democrats that are in power now, saying it's a constitutional crisis, had no problem with it back in 2008, 9, 10.
And by the way, out of all of this stuff that they're trying to get out of the Mueller report, did anybody die?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just asking.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Nobody died, but anytime you release classified information of ongoing investigations and things that those in the know designate as items of national security, you run the risk of that happening. I don't know what is in there and what could be compromised, but I do trust that those who know, like Bob Mueller, look, everybody says that whether you liked Mueller or not, whether you liked the Russian investigation hoax or not, nearly everybody said Mueller's a stand-up guy. You know, he's diligent. He works hard. He was the FBI director under Republicans, and you know, he's just a stand-up guy. And so I trust that if Mueller says, hey, there's something that shouldn't come out here, that we probably shouldn't let it out at this time.
And that's not unusual. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not in a political situation. That happens all the time. But let's really. We got 1 minute left. I'm going to really quick say, the judge demands. Okay, here's the situation. We're not going to have time to talk about is the political consultant is Roger Stone of the Republican Party and of President Trump. He's being prosecuted for lying and other things, supposedly, from the Mueller report. Now there's an issue of whether or not a judge is going to allow some of the redacted portion of the Mueller report to be read by the judge.
Oh, it was like the judge saying, well, Congress can't get it. I'm going to see if I get it in my court.
And so right now, the judge has ordered the Mueller report by the prosecutors. Hey, I might throw this thing out unless you let me review it. So that's what's going on in the Roger Stone case. I wish we could talk more about that. That's another whole segment, but we don't have time. We'll be back with Hour 2. Thanks for joining us. I'm Frederick Penney with Todd Cunin and Cal Hunter.
I was just wondering, why would Barr be considered not with giving things if he's opened it up to the committee to go and read the full unredacted report, and no one showed up to do it? If that's true.
So let me clarify. You're saying, why would Barr not be up to providing it to Congress with all their guarantees that they will keep things confidential, while at the same time making the offer that a select number can come and take a look at it?
No, I was just saying that what he's already offered. My understanding is that he has offered that anyone that wants to read it, that's in part of Congress, can come into the room and read it, but they just can't take anything out of it and stuff like that. So if they're concerned about what they're saying and says, well, we need to know that everything's okay, well, they can go read it.
Josh, I'm going to say I agree with you 100%. That's a head scratcher. He has offered to have a select group of people come in. And let's remember, when the Republicans were in charge of the Judiciary Committee, there were times, when the whole idea behind whether or not there was FISA abuse going on, they were allowed to send a select group over to the FBI to take a look at the warrants and everything that went out. I think Trey Gowdy was one. There's like 3 or 4 folks went over there. They looked at everything and then came back and told the rest of the folks on the committee, okay, we've looked at them. This appears to be okay. We know what they were doing here. We know what they were doing there. And they went on with it. Barr's made the same offer. They just haven't taking them up on it.
I think, Josh, one thing is the big issue there is, and that's a great point, head scratcher, but Barr does not want to step up and testify anymore. He's pretty smart. I think he's saying, look, I don't want to be cross-examined. I'm tired of this, and that's one issue.
And another thing that we didn't touch on last time, and one of the reasons why he didn't want to come back to testify, is that on his second day of testimony before the Senate had proposed that not the senators, they were going to have their staffers ask the questions. So You got a senator that's got a seasoned trial attorney sitting on their staff, and they wanted the staffer to ask questions, and Barr is sitting there going, look, I'll answer questions to the elected representatives to do this because this is supposed to be fact-finding, but you're getting the lawyer in here to ask questions, to set things up here. You're not searching for the truth. You're trying to string me up. And I think he saw that a mile away, and that's why he came back, because they could not agree on who would be asking the questions.
Good point, Josh. Thanks for calling in. That was an excellent point. Thank you very much. Hey, so that was a great questions. We love to hear about the Mueller report. Josh brought some good points up. So, but anyway, Josh, go to our website, www.radiolawtalk.com tonight when you're having issues and you can't sleep, and read our disclaimers.
Read the disclaimers.
Because the disclaimers are very, very
soothing,
relaxing, and